remember, politicians are just like chameleons. I mean, if the issue is so popular that nobody wants fluoride, they're going to eventually side with that. Now recently we've had some great public support down from West Cork, and we had some great news last week. There was an initiative in Bantry where 6 businesses installed reverse osmosis, and they've been awarded a fluoride-free status. So, I mean, obviously Bantry is not fluoride-free, but the whole idea is, again, this is a PR job. We need to get the information, and we need to raise everyone's awareness of this issue. So there's other towns in Cork as well who've been doing loads of events, and we're just trying to encourage other people if they can think of other ideas. And it's just trying to, you know, Cornacopia is a fantastic restaurant. I always come here, and Deirdre was fantastic to install, and she provides fluoride-free drinking water and teas and coffee. So, I mean, if ever I have a meeting in Dublin, I always just say, where do you want to go? Obviously Cornacopia. It's the only place I'd actually drink tea or coffee. But these are the things that, you know, it gets people talking, and more people will spread that information, because, again, the expert body and all of the people in government, they just have an ability to suppress information, but what they don't have is you move it out of their system. We're no longer fighting with them, trying to please cover us, please give us coverage. We're really just saying we have the information at our hands. We have a documentary that's being made. We also have a documentary being made by TG4, and that's going to be aired in the springtime. So that's going to be really a huge push for this campaign, that people obviously who are more mainstream will actually listen to it. So I'd like to take some questions now, because I feel like I've spoken a huge amount and people are probably need a bit of a venting. So I'll take some questions from the floor.
Did Jimmy Dean vote on the fluoride issue?
Yeah, he voted, to keep it in. So all our main political parties, when you're speaking...
Sorry, Ashley, can you just make sure to repeat the question with people asking, just so everybody can hear?
So the question, sorry, was, did Jimmy Deanahan, who is the Fine Gael TD from Kerry, did he vote to keep the fluoride in or out? And he voted to keep it in. Like all the main political parties, Fine Gael, Labour and Fianna Fáil, they all voted to keep it in, even though they've privately spoken against it, Because, Adrian, if you just like to answer that for a second.
You know, the party whip system is, you know, it's like the mafia. You know, you get whacked politically if you don't follow suit with the party whip. You get nowhere, you go nowhere, you'll get whacked politically. So I actually spoke to Emmett Stagg, and he told me, in the same breath that he was saying, no, I'm completely against fluoride, but I'll have to be urging all my party members to vote for it, or to vote against Stanley's bill to end it. You know, I mean, it's preposterous, it's a joke. Like, that's democracy, it's a complete joke. They're all voting to keep poisoning us because they don't want to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Just on that, can everyone hear me? At their party conference, Emmett Stagg actually spoke for removing fluoride. The motion was defeated at their own party conference, and I think the consensus was to go with whatever Alex White decided to support the minister's decision. My question was, when do you expect to take the court case? Have you got it? Is there a date?
Yeah, with the court case, I'm basically gathering up people at the moment who have so dental fluorosis, and also we're getting people with thyroid dysfunction, a patient who was on kidney dialysis, a pregnant mum, and bottle feeding mums to also join the case as plaintiffs. So just please bear that in mind if any of you know anyone, or you are yourself, with those conditions. Because especially people who are on kidney dialysis, they are one of the most high-risk individuals in this country because their bodies cannot excrete fluoride. So they end up retaining up to 90%, which will end up obviously creating major chronic disease elsewhere in the body. And so the court case is really there's no actual date at the moment. We're going to be launching the papers the 7th of February, but because of this now, the barristers feel that it'll be stronger for my case to go with the larger group of plaintiffs alongside that. But we have a good few tricks up the sleeves, because we have with Irish Water, we've put them on notice now. It was in hot press. It was not. Was it this edition?
Yeah, it's in the current edition.
The current edition, yeah. So it's still in the shops. We sent a letter to Irish Water putting them on notice of the legal proceedings that are coming, and also the fact that the hydrofluoric acid that they're delivering around the country has no safety procedures in place. For example, the acid itself in its pure form, before it's diluted into our water, is the most corrosive acid probably in the world. You basically evaporate if you came in contact with it. It eats through stainless steel and concrete, and it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually happening all the time for the past 50 years. So anyway, with regard to Irish Water, we've put to them that they will actually have to pay for private security escorts around the country, because it actually poses as a terrorist threat if somebody was to become unhinged and to hijack the tank and to drive it into the Dáil and just say, I'm sick of y'all. I'm going to drive it into you now. I've never voted for you again, so I'll hijack a tanker. No. Yeah, don't take that on board. But we put that to them. Anyway, there's a number of issues with Irish Water. Another thing is, since January of this year, my lovely barrister discovered that legislation came through within the EU which is no longer permitting hydrofluoric acid in foodstuffs within the Irish market, which is now making Irish exports illegal in the EU market. So it could be a prosecutable offence to have this unpermitted, unlicensed chemical in your foodstuffs going out. So this is another issue that we really want to push, and to get businesses to get behind it. Now, we don't want to attack Irish business, we want Irish business to thrive, but we do want Irish business to basically stand up and say to the government, you're going to have to stop this fluoride being added to our water, because we do not want our companies and our foods to be threatened, because it's a huge, it's a massive industry for our economy. So Irish Water have not yet replied. We sent the letter 2 weeks ago, so we will keep you posted. And is there a question over there?
When you're finished, we have another question.
Yeah.
What about the other 4 or 5 chemicals that are being added, like chlorine gas and hydrochloric acid? I mean, they're also toxic. What about those?
Yeah.
Does anybody mention those or bring them up? Or there's 4 others, 5 others?
Yeah, there's several chemicals.
They're extremely toxic.
Yeah, we were recently, sorry, what was your name?
Daniel.
Daniel just asked about the other chemicals, the many other chemicals that they're adding chemically to our water.
I have a list here if you want to see.
Yeah, so like, for example, the most common one we all know, chlorine. Our water smells usually like a swimming pool. These are all issues that we have also brought up, and we spoke to Declan about this because he's our consultant scientist, and he said the money that Irish Water was given by the taxpayer, was it 85 million, could have actually cleaned up our whole water supply. We could have used that money to treat our water non-chemically with UV light or ozone therapy. So we could have converted safely. And we need to be moving towards non-chemically treated water. But obviously we're just taking up the fluoride issue, but that's something to consider. I mean, that's what we want to work towards, having safe, completely chemically free water. But the fluoride poses the greatest danger, and it's the hardest to filter as well. So one step at a time.
That's not very straightforward question, but are there any other countries in the EU that have any level of fluoride in the water still?
Oh, yeah. There's 10% of the UK, it's around the Midlands and Birmingham, and the Basque region of Spain. They're the two in Europe. Yeah.
Are there campaigns in those areas as well?
There would be, yeah. Like there was, I was over at a campaign in Southampton last year, and they were threatening to fluoridate Southampton, even though like Southampton, the whole thing was dental health. They keep pushing it. As Adrian said, it's industry trying to get rid of their waste. It's coming from a byproduct of the fertilizer industry. So they keep pushing, and there are campaigns established in those areas, and they're unfortunately, they're really depending on more awareness being raised, because in their areas, again, it's just the same issue with people thinking that it's great for their teeth and it's hard for them to actually get it out. But it's interesting how the Basque region as well, notoriously rebellious people also.
Well, they're sovereign as well, like the Irish.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why is that they're born sovereign.
Yeah, I'll just take the question here.
My name is Paul.
That's the reason.
So just wondering, the Irish Medical Council, their particular stand on this particular topic, because as far as I can see, it's directly connected completely with medicine and on both sides.
Yeah.
Medicine we don't want in our water, and pure. So I'm just wondering, do we have any connection with it? Or what is their feeling about it?
Yeah. Yeah, so Paul just was touching upon it, just to repeat, about the Irish Medicines Board, and their stance on the water fluoridation. The Irish Medicines Board have been contacted on numerous occasions, and they say to us that, we ask them, is there a marketing authorisation? Because if you put anything that will be deemed a medicine on the market, it has to be strictly regulated and tested for safety and efficacy. They actually say that the water fluoridation chemicals are not they're outside their remit, and that they are a public health measure. But yet, their definition of a medicine is anything that purports to prevent or treat a disease. And they're reporting that this is preventing tooth decay. So by their very definition, it is a medicine. But then you ask them and they say, no, it's not a medicine, it's a public health measure. What's a public health measure? It's outside our remit. Who's testing it? HSE, nobody's actually testing it. So you just go around, they pass it around. So the Irish Medicines Board are also implicated, and they will be brought into this High Court case.
It has never been tested.
It has never been tested, never been regulated, never. And the chemical company, Chemifloc, that are supplying it, apparently from Spain, they say, it's Chemifloc. By the way, listen to this. Chemifloc, chemicals for the flock. That's how obvious they are. Yeah. And they basically are saying that there's contaminants in it, like arsenic, lead, aluminium, uranium, all heavy metal cocktail. And nobody's testing it, nobody's regulating it. The Irish Medicines Board is turning a blind eye, funnily enough. And they themselves are asked, like, what levels are the contaminants? So there's no independent analysis. So all of this is all be part of the court case, because there's many bodies and agencies involved in this. And the only reason they're getting away with it is because nobody's asking the questions.
I just wanted to ask you, is there another reason for such an entrenched political opposition to this? Like, are you afraid of more cases? Are you afraid of, all the commission is acting this from Melbourne, which is amazing, and I even think in the Lancet that was published this week and I've been a numerous officer. Are they afraid of Lancet more cases getting computed with compensation? I mean, that's is there any way of doing it in such a way that they would just say, right, there's no good proof, it's not good enough,
Yeah.
and then stop. If you can actually prove it's bad, it just leaves it open for so much litigation.
Oh, I know, yeah. I think that the whole issue with, are they afraid of litigation, is that why they're trying to hide and not stop this policy? I think there is an element of, there is an issue with potential litigation cases, but I also think that, yeah, they're just afraid to lose face.
You know, that's the political opposition is something I want to look into more, because that's the real problem. But I think there's a small coterie of mainly dentists whose careers have been, resting upon this, but also they get a lot of money for this. Like, if you follow the money, they're getting research grants. Millions and millions. While that debate was raging about in 2002, while the government was busy suppressing the report on the fact that Irish babies are definitely being poisoned, Dennis O'Mullane, who's now on, I think he's the chairperson now of the Irish expert body, he received a grant of between up to 1 million, to look into the safety and effectiveness of fluoride in children's teeth. So there's that. There's a small group of people who are forcing us all to continue doing this, and that's why I think we really need to find out who they are and what they look like, and start directing, letting them know that we know who they are.
Yeah, but that report in the Lancet not swayed hugely.
I think that, like, in 2012, a very good Harvard study came out showing that lowered IQ in children, fluoride was lowering IQ in children, and that doesn't sway them either. They're so entrenched. They're absolute propaganda.